Hey guys, welcome back to Labor Laws Lecture Series, and this is our last video with respect to Employees State Insurance Act 1948 and also as well as Unit 4. Here is the syllabus of Unit 4, and in the first video we covered this particular topic, video 1, and just I'm recapping it. And there then video 2 to video 7 we covered Employee Compensation Act in detail, and from video A2 video 13 we are covering Employee State Insurance Act, and this is a video number 13. This is the last video with respect to Employee State Insurance Act 1948. In this video we are going to discuss about adjudication of disputes and ESI codes, and then we conclude our discussion by comparing the ESI Act with Employee Compensation Act of 1923. So, adjudication of disputes, any disputes related to employee state insurance scheme. So, where all the disputes can happen? The disputes can happen between ESIC and principal employer, okay, or ESIC and then employee, employee and principal employer, and then principal employer and then immediate employer. So the disputes may arise in any of this form, right? Any between any of these parties. So these disputes will be handled by a court set up under section 74 of the Employee State Insurance Act. Okay, this will be called as a EI court, Employee Insurance Court, and this is constituted under section 74. It is constituted as per section 74, and it is not a civil court. It is not a civil court. It is a separate court, and all the disputes related to these parties will be dealt in ESIC first. Okay, EI courts can be deemed to be a civil court. It is similar to civil court within the meaning of section 195 of the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973. So any matter related to ESIC, we should take it only to ESIC EI court and not to civil courts. Okay, any appeal for decisions of a EI court will go to a high court. Okay, though, so that's why EI courts are similar or deemed to be a civil court of a state district level. State government to constitute employee insurance code. It is a responsibility of a state government to constitute employee insurance code EI codes by notification in official gazettes, and it is at the discretion of a state government to decide number of judges required in the court of ESI, and even number of courts required, how many courts required in a state for ESI operation based on the industrialization in that particular area, based on the employment opportunities. They can decide how many ESI courts required and how many judges are needed. So the eligibility to become a judge of a ESI is, it is any person who is having 5 years of experience as a judicial officer or a legal practitioner can be appointed as judge in EI court. So minimum 5 years of experience as judicial officer or legal practitioner can be appointed as as a judge of EI court. Who can appoint it? It is a state government's discretion. What all the matters will be decided or which comes under the purview of EI court? The section 75 states the three categories: adjudication of disputes, and then claims, and then any disablement related questions. Okay, so with respect to disputes, there may be a employee related disputes, and then the contributions, rates, principal employer, and anything related to benefits. All this, any kind of disputes, ESIC with employee or with employer, or anything related to rates or anything related to contribution, all the disputes can be all the disputes comes under the purview of EI court. And the next one is any claims. So if any wrong contribution is deducted, and in any cases related to that, any claims, right, a recovery of contribution, claim against principal employer. If principal employer is owing some money to a employee with respect to ESIC, or any claims or any recovery related to ESIC should be handled in EI court. And the same time, determination of a disablement questions. In case of a disablement, how much pension needs to be paid, what is the liability of a IESIC to employee. So those related any questions also can be taken to a EI court. So there is a bar to jurisdiction of a civil court. No civil court shall have jurisdiction to matters related to ESI. Any matters related to ESI should not go to a civil court. Should be handled in ESIC or the next appeal. Okay, to execute the court procedures, the employee courts, employee insurance courts also have the same powers like other civil courts. They can summon two persons to attend for a witness, and then compel to production of a documents, material or objects, and then they have to administer the oath and record the evidences. So whatever the civil procedure, civil courts have power with respect to any case, all the responsibilities or all the powers are provided to employee insurance courts with respect to employee state insurance related issues or problems. That's it from an EI court and adjudication process in employee state insurance scheme. It is a responsibility of a state. This court is set up, employee insurance court is set up according to the Employee State Insurance Act, and then EI court is same as a civil court from a civil criminal procedure code of 1973 perspective, and employee state insurance courts, EI courts can deal with the conflicts between ESIC and then principal employer, or ESIC with employee, or employee with principal employer, or principal employer and immediate employer with respect to employee state insurance related activities. And the matters which can be decided by EI court are adjudication of disputes and adjudication of claims related to ESIC operations. And then no civil court shall have jurisdiction to matters related to ESI, and at the same time ESI have a similar powers of a civil court, and they can summon attendance of witness and then compel for production of documents, materials or objects, then administration of oath and recovering and then recording evidences. This is all powers of a EI. So the last topic is Employee State Insurance Act and Employee Compensation Act. So if you see 2 points here, one is in Employee Compensation Act we saw the dependents, we discussed about dependents, we discussed about disablement, and then compensation for it, correct? And in employee state insurance also, in ESI also, we have a dependent, and in case of disablement, and so there is a duplication of the law, right? This is a duplicate of a law. Like it is can employee claim benefit in both of these things? So can he claim a compensation of a disablement in Employee Compensation Act as well as Employee State Insurance Act? This is a no. So whenever employee claims anything in Employee State Insurance Act, he should not claim any benefit in any legal legislations. Okay, so this is one of the clause while discussing employee state insurance benefits. We discussed that. Okay, the most important one is if any employee is claiming benefit in ESIC, they are not allowed to claim any benefit in any other legislation including Employee Compensation Act. So if disablement benefit is claimed under ESIC, then employee is not eligible to claim Employee Compensation Act benefit. Okay, so this is the first thing. ESIC is if ESIC has made that particular rule. So let's see some differences. Employee state insurance, as it name says, it is a insurance, right? It is a insurance. When we say insurance, there will be a contribution, Contribution will be paid by employer, employee, and then they get a benefit. So this is a insurance, but it is a social insurance. This insurance is uh, subscribed for the purpose of medical hospitalization and employment injury and death and other cases. Okay, this is a social insurance for the social benefit of an employee, but it is a insurance. But in case of Employee Compensation Act, it is not a insurance because there is no contribution from either from employee or employer to any body or anything. Okay, it is the responsibility, the liability of paying the compensation is on employer. Okay, the liability of paying a compensation is on employer. Employer has to make a payment to employee in case of injury. How he makes it, whether he buys a separate insurance, whatever, that is the employer's discretion. But in ESIC, it is a insurance. Both employer and employee has to contribute as per the rules specified by central government. Clear? First point, it is a social Employee Compensation Act is a social assistance, and the entire liability of paying compensation is lies on employer. How employer pays it, whether he buys an insurance or not, is not the subject matter here, but it's the responsibility of the employer in case of Employee Compensation Act. But in case of Employee State Insurance Act, it is a social insurance where both employer and employee both contribute, and then they buy a insurance from ESIC. They subscribe to ESIC. They subscribe to Employee State Insurance Scheme. Post that, Employee State Insurance Corporation provides all the medical and other services, other benefits to employee. So it is a insurance, and ECA is not a insurance. It is a liability of a employer. Remember, in any organization, if both the acts may apply, because if in organization there will be people with salary more than 21,000 and people salary with less than 21,000. Wherever people are there with a salary less than 21,000 in that organization, for those particular set of people, ESIC is applicable, and in the same organization, the persons who are drawing more than 21,000, for them, Employee Compensation Act is applicable. Clear? In one organization, if any person is drawing less than 21,000, then ESIC is applicable. If the salary is more than 21,000, then Employee Compensation Act is applicable. If you see the coverage perspective, the coverage of ESI is wider than Employee Compensation Act, because ESI covers not only disability related aspects, it also covers sickness, it also covers maternity, it also talks about medical benefits and hospitalization. ECA, it just talks about the income loss due to disability and how we have to compensate him, how much amount we have to pay, that's it. Okay, it doesn't talk about any hospitalization or any benefits, maternity benefits, etc. So in that perspective, the coverage of ESI is wider than Employee Compensation Act. So because of this, right, there are many other acts where Employee Compensation Act is overlapping, and the experts are of the opinion that ECA is a dying act. Okay, Employee Compensation Act is a dying act. The basic reason is for the purpose of social assistance also, employees will take a group insurance and accident insurance. Okay, so yeah, all the disabilities, all any injuries and medical, everything will be covered under group insurance and accident for people drawing salaries more than 21,000. So in that way, Employee Compensation Act is having a less role to play in the modern world. Okay, that's it from from a social security law perspective. So we discussed in detail about two social security laws. One is Employee Compensation Act and another one is Employee State Insurance Act. I request you to go through all the 13 videos for a clear understanding, and also I suggest you to go with while listening to this video, please keep a BEAR Act with you and also the latest amendments wherever there is any changes, right? If the limit may be changed or a rate of compensation, rate of benefits might have changed. So please make a note of those changes. Thank you very much, and thanks. I appreciate your patience in listening our social security law related videos. If you have any questions related to social security laws, please put your comment in comment box below, and I request you to subscribe our channel Parva Media. This motivates us to provide more videos on legal subjects or a law subjects. Thank you.